That morning, the faucet coughed and died. Not a trickle, not a drip, just silence. By the end of the week, my whole neighborhood was bone dry, and the woman responsible was screaming at the top of her lungs while deputies waited with charges in hand. That was the moment I knew how far the Oak Crest HOA had gone to steal what was mine, my water, my peace, and how far I'd had to go to take it back. I bought this land for one reason. After 24 years in the Army, I wanted something solid, something no one could control but me. That well in my backyard, it had survived storms, droughts, decades of use. Cold, clean water, mine alone. When I retired here, I thought I'd finally built a life nobody could tamper with. But then came Karen Weilet, the HOA president, queen of rules and khakis, who treated every square inch of this neighborhood like her personal kingdom. At first, it was just odd questions her showing up while I was planting tomatoes, sipping from her little travel mug. So quaint, she said about my well, like I was living in some antique diorama. She asked if I'd considered sharing it in case of emergencies. I looked her dead in the eye and said no. That water was mine. She smiled, too long, too tight, and left. I should have known she wasn't done. When the pressure dropped, I checked the pump house. The lock wasn't broken, but the screws were different, not mine. My stomach turned. I popped the cover, and there it was, a new pipe spliced in running away from my garden straight toward HOA land. I followed it through the cedar trees to a maintenance shed the board used for beautification. My well had been tapped carefully, quietly. I'd spent enough time overseas to know an ambush when I saw one. So I did what I was trained to do, document everything. Photos, timestamps, copies of the well permit. I called Stan, an old Army buddy now working for the county water office. He didn't sugarcoat it. "That's theft," he said. "A felony. Don't touch it. Just keep gathering." At the next HOA meeting, Karen was up front going on about community resilience and leveraging supplemental sources. I raised my hand. The room went silent when I asked, "Would you like to explain the new pipe running from my private well to your shed?" Pens dropped. Karen's smile twitched, then hardened. She called my claim inaccurate, warned me about slander. I said calmly, "Don't worry, the county will be here Friday," and I left. From that point on, the gloves were off. I noticed fresh paint marks on the easement, unmarked trucks parked by the fence contractors pretending to check drainage. Board members avoided eye contact. One even asked me casually if I'd sell access rights like they hadn't already stolen it. I installed trail cameras and caught men in reflective vests hauling pipe at night. The evidence was piling up. But evidence doesn't keep you warm when you start to feel alone. There were nights I sat at my kitchen table folder of documents in front of me asking myself if I was crazy. Maybe I was paranoid. Maybe fighting an entire HOA wasn't worth it. I could have let it go, lived with weaker water pressure, avoided the stairs at the mailbox. For a moment, I almost believed it that I was the stubborn old vet making noise over nothing. But then I remembered why I bought this place, to live free of control, to have something nobody could take. If I didn't fight now, what was the point of all those years in uniform? Stan connected me with the state inspector, Angela Ruiz. She showed up with boots, a badge, and a tracer dye kit. We injected the bright blue solution into the illegal line and waited. An hour later, we opened the HOA shed and saw it glowing like a neon sign. Pumps, pipes, all feeding off my well. Angela sealed it with a state seizure order. "This is felony misappropriation," she said flatly. That's when I called in my lawyer, Maggie Eastston, sharp as barbed wire with a voice that could cut glass. She filed a cease and desist, a civil suit for damages and subpoenas for HOA records. What we found was worse. A fake contractor company, invoices signed by Karen Water siphoned not just for landscaping, but for board members' private lawns. Fraud, theft, conspiracy, the works. Then the drought hit. The city reservoirs dropped, restrictions kicked in. Sprinklers shut off fountains, drained toilets, barely refilling. Families drove miles for jugs of water. And Oak Crest, thanks to Karen, had no reserves. People were desperate. My well still flowed steady and clean. Neighbors started lining up at the end of my drive, and I set up a spigot. 5 gallons per family, no questions. I wasn't hoarding, I was surviving. And suddenly, everyone saw the truth. Karen pulled up one afternoon, her Lexus throwing dust. "You need to shut this down," she snapped. "It makes the board look negligent." I laughed in her face. "The board is negligent. They stole water, covered it up, and now you want me to punish people who have nothing," she hissed back about HOA authority. I reminded her she wasn't president anymore. Her face went white. The real explosion came at the emergency HOA meeting. The clubhouse was packed, sweat dripping in the heat, residents fanning themselves with old flyers. Karen clutched the podium, rambling about conservation measures. A voice from the back cut her off. "Tell us about the illegal pipe." Karen. Another shouted, "We've seen the inspectors." The room erupted. I stood and said, "You stole from me. You trespassed, forged records, and lied. And I have the photos, the video, the tracer dye to prove it." Gasps spread across the room. Karen tried to bluster. There was a misunderstanding, but Angela Ruiz walked in with deputies and read an official statement from the Attorney General's office. Criminal investigation charges pending personal injunction against Karen. The crowd turned furious. "Vote her out," someone shouted. Mara, the vice president, spoke softly but firmly. "Effective immediately, you're suspended." Karen spun, eyes wild. "You think you've won," she spat at me. I didn't answer. The residents did with their silence, their anger, their betrayal. She stormed out. Mascara streaked her empire, crumbling behind her. That was the last time she held power over anyone in Oak Crest. And that's how I learned if you don't protect what's yours, someone like Karen will steal it and convince the world they had the right all along.